How to budget for beginners. Most budgets don't make it past the second week, and it's usually not because the person gave up. It's because the budget was never realistic to begin with. So today I want to walk you through how to actually build one that holds up, not just on paper, but in real life. Welcome to Pulse Point. I'm a chartered accountant and I work in banking, so you'd think personal finance would come naturally to me, and honestly, for a long time I assumed it did. Turns out, knowing how money works professionally and actually managing your own well are two very different things. I had to learn that the hard way. This channel is what came out of that. No jargon, no pressure, just clear, practical conversations about money. Today we're starting from the beginning. By the end of this video, you'll have a framework you can sit down and actually use today. Before we get into the how, I think it's worth understanding why most budgets fall apart. Because it's usually one of three things. The first is that they're too strict. Every single expense is planned down to the last cent. And the moment something unplanned comes up, and something always does, the whole thing collapses. The second is that they're built on guesses. If you don't actually know what you spend, any number you write down is just wishful thinking. I've been guilty of this myself. I'd estimate my monthly grocery spend and be off by hundreds, and I work with numbers for a living. And the third is that they feel like a punishment. If your budget makes you miserable, you're going to stop following it. That's just human nature. What we're building today avoids all three of those. Step 1, know your numbers. The first step is getting clear on what's actually coming in and going out. For income, use your take-home pay, not your gross salary, the number that actually lands in your account each month. For expenses, go back through 2 or 3 months of bank statements and write down what you actually spent. Groceries, rent, transport, subscriptions, eating out, all of it. Don't try to clean it up or justify it. Just look at it honestly. I remember doing this properly for the first time and being genuinely uncomfortable with what I saw. Not because anything was outrageous, but because I had no idea where a big chunk of my money was going every month. For someone who spends their day analyzing financial statements, that was a humbling moment. But that's exactly the point of this step. It's not about feeling bad. It's about replacing assumptions with facts. You can't build anything solid on guesswork. Step 2. Choose a method that suits you. Once you know your numbers, you need a framework to organize them. There are 3 simple ones worth knowing about. The 50-30-20 rule splits your income into needs, wants, and savings, 50, 30, and 20% respectively. It's flexible and easy to start with, which makes it good for beginners. Zero-based budgeting means every rand has a purpose. Your income minus your expenses equals 0. Not because you've spent everything, but because every cent is assigned somewhere, including savings. In my line of work, we do something similar when we account for every line item on an income statement. The principle translates well to personal finances too. And then there's paying yourself first, where you move money into savings before you do anything else, and whatever's left is yours to spend freely. Simple and surprisingly effective if saving has always felt hard. None of these is better than the others. The right one is whichever you'll actually keep using. Step 3. Build your categories. Now you build the actual budget using your real numbers, not a template. Your fixed expenses are straightforward. Rent or bond, insurance, loan repayments. These are the same every month. Your variable expenses need a cap you can genuinely live with. Look at what you've been spending on groceries, petrol, eating out, and set a limit that's close to reality, not an ambitious number you'll blow past in week 1. Early on, I kept setting targets I could never hit because I was budgeting for the version of myself I wanted to be, not the one actually doing the spending. Savings gets its own category too, treated the same as any other expense. Whether it's an emergency fund, a specific goal, or retirement, give it a line in the budget. That's what makes it actually happen rather than just an intention. And build in a small buffer for miscellaneous things. Something will always come up. A budget with no room for the unexpected is one that'll break the first time life happens. Step 4. Check in regularly. This is where most people drop the ball. They build the budget and then never look at it again. Set aside 10 minutes once a week to check where you are. That's genuinely all it takes. You can use a spreadsheet, an app, a notes page, whatever you'll actually open. The tool is less important than the habit. At the end of each month, review it properly. If you went over on groceries 3 weeks in a row, the number is probably wrong. Adjust it. If you consistently underspend somewhere, redirect that money toward a goal. Your budget should reflect your life as it is, not a version of it from 6 months ago. The bigger picture. I want to leave you with one thought before we wrap up. A budget isn't really about restriction. It's about knowing. And I say that as someone who spent years thinking that because I understood finance professionally, I had this handled. I didn't. There's a gap between knowing the theory and actually living it, and closing that gap takes honesty, not expertise. It doesn't have to be perfect either. A budget you follow most of the time will do far more for you than a perfect one you abandoned. Start simple, stay consistent, and adjust as you go. So that's the framework. 4 steps, nothing complicated. Know your numbers, pick a method, build real categories, and check in consistently. If this was useful, consider subscribing. I put out new videos on Pulse Point every week, all about helping you understand your money more clearly. And drop a comment below. I'd genuinely like to know what part of budgeting you find hardest. I'll see you in the next one.